Alright guys, hope you're doing well. This is Rowlands and I'm a nutritional balancing practitioner. I actually was trying to go live with this video so I can answer a few questions afterwards, but it looks like the stream was lagging a lot, so I had to give it up for the third time. It's been one of them days today, everything just got going wrong, but whenever things go wrong for me consistently, in my mind I just think, I'm just everything goes in waves, and if I have a bad day it means someone else having a good day, and sort of, a little bit like at work when you want someone to cover your shift, I'm just like covering someone else's shift, and the next day I might feel really good and someone else in the world is covering my shift, so that's how I sort of look at it these days, rather than constantly feeling like I should be on some sort of amazing high ground. I think a lot of the reasons why I've been having a bad day and a bad month in general is I feel like God is trying to move me towards doing nutritional balancing more full time, to focus more on development and healing and helping other people in the world rather than building websites, which I love to do. But there's just been so many things going wrong with them recently that are just sort of out of my control, which it's made me sort of question that there's probably something deeper at work. So anyway, I want to talk about love and Valentine's Day, because I'm sure a lot of people watching this video is probably feeling sorry for themselves because they've not got a partner, or they just need someone, want someone. So first of all, I want to sort of take a step back and talk a little bit about relationships these days and what relationships are all about and the climate that we live in, because one of the biggest things that people need to realize that we're going through today is that we are living in chaotic times. The world that we live in today is so yin and so chaotic that it's causing so many different problems for a lot of people. And one of the ways of dealing with life, one of the counteractions is to try and make your life ordered, to have a more ordered life. And we live in chaos and what we call the age of individuality. And I think the age of individuality, there was a documentary about it, which basically is the rogues, the advertisement platforms, these large corporations basically want to split everyone apart, families, friends, and make people think that being a fully individual, being super unique is the best. And in reality it sounds quite good, but I think in reality it's not good at all. And what I mean by that is that they're trying to make you think that you can just do what you want, sleep with who you want, be who you want, and in many respects you can do that, but what that creates is chaos. And one of the reasons why I feel like it creates chaos is because religion has been slowly dissolved or diluted from the general population. Even 200, 300 years ago, England was a really big Christian population. I'm not saying everyone needs to move to Christianity, but the point is it had some rules and regulations and guidelines that were extremely healthy for people. And if you understood these principles and guidelines, it helps you understand some of the reasons why you're going through so many problems these days. And especially in relationships, the whole idea from a Christian perspective was to not rush into relationships. First, looking back really on what we was talking about yesterday with, the hierarchy of needs. So if you just go over to here, the idea is in the beginning, what you want to be focused on is your health. Without your health, there's no foundation. There's no foundation for a loving relationship. And you kind of see this in the Genesis story in the Bible, which I find very fascinating. When God created Adam from the dust of the earth, and dust back then meant minerals. Interesting that we use hair mineral analysis to figure out the mineral levels. So dust meant minerals. God made man from the minerals of the earth. Very, very good. The second thing he said to Adam was eat freely from the fruits of the land, which basically meant that food is free. Food is grown for you free. You just got to go and pick it from a tree or dig it up or, go and hunt an animal. It's very, very freely and abundantly available. One of the problems that happened when men fell from God is that they had to toil the earth by the sweat of their brow, which to me is sort of agriculture. Do you know what I mean? When man moved away from that, they had to toil the earth. They had to struggle to make food for themselves, and I think it's very, very fitting that happened within the Bible. And obviously we moved away from God, which is something I'm going to talk about soon. But the second thing God said to Adam was to work. Work is so important for individuals today because work is the guiding, one of the guiding principles of living is to be of service to other individuals, to help individuals, to work. And Adam's job on the planet was to be the guardian of the earth, to help the animals and the plants of the earth by God telling him where to go, what to do, who needs help, what needs fixing, and Adam would just tune in and figure out what God would guide him around. So where we don't have work, people just don't have that guiding work, don't have that guiding force, that path that pushes them forward in life better than anything else. So, and again, it's clearly in psychology this as well. So once you've got them in place, which the Christian values sort of did have that, do you know what I mean? Like stay with your family, which is stay with your family, get shelter, food, water, sleep, clothing, and then when you stayed with your family, your parents would help you figure out what you're going to do with your life, and listen to God. What does God want you to do? Let's find your work, let's find your vocation. And then they would be like, okay, now you're ready for marriage, now you're ready to be connected with another individual. And this is where the next one comes in. What did God say to Adam? It's not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper, which was Eve. And it's not good to be alone on one level, but on another level, if these two bottom foundations are not being carefully looked after, then being in a loving relationship is going to be a challenge. So that's something to be very, very aware of. And so then you also see this in tribal communities. Like a lot of men and women, they have to prove themselves to be able to look after a partner, to be able to raise a family. Can you go and kill an animal? Can you build this, whatever? Do you have courage? Do you have wisdom? If you didn't have these, you wouldn't get into a relationship. They wouldn't allow you to do that. And I was watching a documentary called To Why by Bruce Parry, and it's got a section inside of it. It was one of the most profound things I've ever watched. Basically this guy was saying that he lives his life, he looks after his family, and he listens to God. He had a word for God, and God would come down and tell them what to do. And he was saying that all the deforestation that was happening, it was really bad. It was really bad for the planet, and God wasn't happy about it. And you see it in the Hopi tribe. So the Hopi tribe book, the Book of the Hopis, they said, they used to say to their children, open your head. And this is where the pushing down exercise comes in, is open your head to God. Bring God into your life. Push down. This is what the pulling down exercise is. And when you do that, you get guided. God tells you what to do. It's happened to me so many times whereby I've just gotten this information, this download from God by doing the pulling down exercise to give me advice on what to do next. So, doing the nutritional balancing program is the best way to eventually get yourself into a relationship with another individual. But it's important to realize that a lot of people think that being in a relationship with another individual is like peak experience, is what we all should be aiming for, is the thing that's going to complete us. And that's not how it works. In Jungian psychology, they talk about it, and this is a very, very great book by James Hollis called The Eden Project: In Search of the Magical Other. And basically it talks about how humans have this constant longing, this constant need to find the magical other, this fantasy within our heads of another individual that's going to save us from all our ailments and problems and issues in the world. And that's not the case. So, if you can be restrained and you can do the program and you can get your physiological needs met, if you can get your vocation, your employment, your security, your finances, health met, then you're going to be in a much better position to find a healthy partner, if that's something that you're called to do. And then once you think about wanting to be in a relationship with someone, you need to realize two things. One is that when you go into a relationship with another individual, if that person takes any form of energy from you, and in a vampirish way, it could be the way they talk, the way they dress, the way that they act around you, where it's taking energy from you, do not get into a relationship with these individuals. These individuals usually are working from their lower chakras, whereby they're energy vampires, and there's a lot of energy vampires in the world today. So that's the first thing to realize, is that don't do that. The second thing to realize is that relationships are about coming together with another individual to walk the path of God, to heal each other, to help each other, it's a little bit like two train tracks running side by side, whereas a lot of people these days just intertwine with each other and it becomes codependent, it becomes sticky. And this is another problem people have in relationships, is that they have not been properly brought up by their parents, so they have codependent issues. They are usually either anxiously attached to an individual, or they are avoidantly attached. An anxiously attached individual is usually someone whose parents mollycoddled them, their parents did everything for them, and they made the child feel anxious. They wanted to always be there, a neediness. The parents didn't make them independent very much. And then the opposite to that is really the avoidant type, whereby these individuals, their parents sometimes neglected them a little bit, or weren't really there for them, wasn't really showing them much love, and they sometimes become sort of avoidantly attached. So they actually kind of, I don't say they don't like love, because everyone needs love, but they kind of standoffish. They kind of push people away a little bit. If you ever feel like you've been pushed away, these people are usually avoidantly attached. So what happens is that if you've got these codependent issues that haven't been resolved, usually you will get into a relationship with someone who will mirror your issues in order for them to get healed. A good example is the anxious and avoidant attachment. So if you are anxiously attached, when you're in a relationship with someone, you're very needy, you're very clingy, you're addicted to them, and you'll attract someone who's avoidant. So they're standoffish, they don't like that, they don't want it too much. And how better way to heal that than to experience that? Because when you're in a relationship with someone who's like that, you're wanting to cling on to them, they're wanting to push you away. And what you realize is that, oh my God, I need to become more independent. I need to not have this individual be my all, be my everything that fulfills me. And the avoidant attached person, they see this individual who's full of love, full of connection, always wants to be close, and that makes them question their own selves. All right, this is weird. Like, why can't I open myself up fully to this individual? Why can't I just relax more? Why can't I be in this relationship and just settle down and just relax? And that's, that's something that needs to be healed today, because again, I'm going to go back to Christianity. When you're in healthy Christian families, and I'm not saying this is not for not other families don't do this, but when you're in this healthy Christian family, you realize that God is driving your life. The children that you bring up are God-centered. They've got their heads open. They thinking about God. The children get brought up healthily, safe, secure. They're independent. They get taught about God, and they're not jumping into relationships at 14, 15, 16 with giant traumas. Do you know what I mean? They, the parents say, look, don't leave the house until you get married. I think that's a very healthy thing to do. But a lot of kids these days just get pushed off to university at 17, 18. It's like get into drugs, get into alcohol, so they get sort of spit out the other side. They're in a the parents have usually split up when they were younger because their parents was the same. They've got all these codependency issues. They're ill. They haven't got any vocation, and they end up getting into these relationships that are more like massive learning curves than healthy healthy codependent relationships with another individual. And that's the problem that we're in today. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Heal yourself, do the program, sort out your physiological needs, sort out your safety, your work needs, finance needs, try and forgive your parents, try and become more independent, healthy independent. And then, when you're ready, realize that a relationship is not there to fulfill all of your needs. It's not going to happen. A relationship is there for you to help each other be the hands and feet of God, of what God wants you to do. And that takes a big ego death, because a lot of people are just living from egos. I know what I want from my life. I know what's going to make me happy. I know this, I know that. And on one level you do, but on another level you just do not. God knows what he wants from you. And that's why it's so important to do the program, to keep reading Dr. Wilson's articles, to keep listening to these YouTube videos, because these are all tools in order to get you on that healthy path. Once you're on the train tracks, and you're down the line of the train tracks, you've healed, you will come into contact with another individual whose train tracks are also sturdy. So you're going down the same path towards the light, in a healthy way. And when you think about it, a lot of people don't do that. They're on their own tracks, and then they're intertwining with each other in this unhealthy way, and they just don't even not even aware of the light. Do you know what I mean? They're going into hedonism. Do you know what I mean? They're going into darkness. They're going into confusion. They're going into the woods. They're going into the forest. And that's what a lot of relationships are like these days. So anyway, guys, hope that's helped you out. If you do want to start a nutritional balancing program, just email me, Lewis, Lewis, @deephealingspace.com. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and speak to you soon.